Hey everybody, welcome back to the Noggin Notes podcast. This is the only show that we know of that aims to educate and enrich your noggin on matters of mental wellness and illness through various conversations on psychological functioning, emotional functioning, spirituality, social topics, and all sorts of good stuff. And today we have Kevin Dixie, a buddy of mine, nicknamed KD, you can call him KD, discussing mentorship, fatherhood, broken homes, race relations, the racist aspects of firearms control, all sorts of stuff. We run the gamut in this show, and I'm really glad to have him on. My name is Jake Wiskerson. I'm your host. If you don't know that by now, I guess just listen to a few more episodes, and then you'll have it memorized. I co-own a company called Zephyr Wellness. It is the sponsor of this show, and Zephyr Wellness is in Northern Nevada. We're a mental health outpatient counseling agency. We do lots of cool stuff. Check out zephyrwellness.org to learn more, but on the surface, we integrate into the community with different partnering agencies, both governmental and non-governmental, and we also utilize graduate students in their practicum semesters, and what we do with them is we get them the experience they need in clinical hours before they graduate, and in doing so, we get to avoid turning away people from the community who seek help, because the graduate students act as free labor for us. They're getting their education. We are mentoring them through it and educating them, and in turn, the community gets to come in and receive services under strong supervision, regardless of their ability to pay or their insurance coverage. So we literally don't have to turn anybody away. It's really nice, and it's one of the proudest things I think I've ever done in my career. The show is also sponsored by Audible. If you have not checked out Audible, you should. And you can with a free trial at audibletrial.com/nogginnotes. That's their way of helping us. It's our way of helping them. If you don't know what Audible is, go check it out. Or just listen for the next 30 seconds, because I'm going to tell you what it is. It's an unmatched selection of audio content, mostly books, but also news and entertainment. And you can download this stuff and listen to it through your own earbuds on your mobile device, on a desktop computer. You can listen through Bluetooth in your car while you're driving. So if you have some books that you've been meaning to get to and you just can't find the time to sit down and read them, audio books are the way to go. Go to audibletrial.com/nogginnotes and get a free 30-day trial. And along with that 30-day trial, you will also get a free download. And you can keep that download even if you decide not to renew and continue paying after your 30 days are up. audibletrial.com/nogginnotes. It's a great way to help yourself and help us and help make Earth better, which is what this podcast tries to do every time we take to the air. Without further delay, this is my interview with Kevin Dixie. I hope you find it educational. Please reach out to us if you do. info@nogginnotes.com, info@zephyrwellness.org. Have a good one. So this week on the podcast, we've got with us Kevin Dixie. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, man, how are you?
Doing well. And you're back home now, right? You're in St. Louis?
I am.
And is it actually St. Louis or some neighborhood or suburb thereof?
It's St. Louis County, so I do live in St. Louis County, but as far as the city goes, I'm about 15 minutes away from the city. So.
Okay, close enough to claim it then. So I wanted to have you on. I want to tell the audience just a little bit about how we met. So you and I met when we went down to a gun rights policy conference in Arizona a couple of months back, and I was down there for Walk the Talk America, and which, if the people aren't familiar, Walk the Talk America is trying to bridge the gap between gun culture and mental health culture. And obviously, I'm the mental health guy, part of that. And you and I met, and we were discussing a whole bunch of stuff. But what really intrigued me about what you do is you do some mentorship in the community with young men, and you do a lot of fatherhood stuff. And I really want to engage in that. But mostly at this point, I just want you to introduce yourself to the world and say what it is you do, because you wear a ton of hats, and a lot of it is in the firearms community, and you do some instruction and stuff. So go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
All right, well, my name is Kevin Dixie. Everybody calls me KD just for my initials. I am born and bred in St. Louis, Missouri. Proud of it. I'm from the city's north side, even though I live all over in every single sector of this Firearms, I am a firearms trainer, educator, and mentor with Firearms, kind of bringing a different spiel to the normal, hey, everybody has to be a tactical ninja doing barrel rolls across Buicks and stuff like that. I kind of bring it down to a different level. Just, I like to focus on everybody just understanding really what guns are for and how they should be used. And as far as my community outreach, I run a program called Aiming for the Truth. Aiming for the Truth is a program that I came up with where we focus on the root causes of violence instead of blaming a tool or even a system. We want to deal with the root causes of violence and really get to the roots and solve them. So we do that in a multitude of ways, but the biggest ones are we talk about mental health, or I know mental illness is not the correct thing to say, so I've been trying to get better with saying mental health. We talk about mental health and its effects. I am a survivor of depression and anxiety clinical, so I understand what that looks like in my own little world. So I don't try to be a professional, like I'm not you, but I am a survivor, and I walked it for 20 plus years. So understanding what that looks like and how to defeat it, but also understanding what it can lead to. How, if your mind's not right, that leads you down different paths in life that could lead you to being violent or unproductive in life, right? And thus, if you're unproductive, you don't value life, and then you go out and do silly things anyway. So we talk about mental health, and we kind of break the stigma especially not only, I don't want people to think, oh, he only helps people that look like him. Not only, but in my immediate area, there's a stigma when it comes to mental health. And it's, to just be frankly honest, it's a white man's problem. And that's what's always been said. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, we don't suffer from, yeah, you do. It's an everybody problem. It's a human problem. So breaking that stigma and letting people know, like, hey, the reason why guys are looking to fight for any reason, the reason why people are lashing out, the reason why you can't take somebody step on your shoes, the reason why road rage can lead. A lot of times people have anger issues. They're dealing with other things they haven't addressed, and it just topples over. So we deal with that, and I like to let people know, too, if you can, if America can say that if we send one of our boys and girls overseas to fight for, say, 2 years, and they come back and they're dealing with PTSD, they went to a battlefield, they came back, and, we have to help them get right. Imagine what somebody goes through if they live there for 20, 25 years. Imagine what they're going through every day in these different areas around the country. There are battlefields of their own. So we have to really address the mental component. Then I want to deal with fathers. Fathers are I'm very passionate about fathers, and I believe that fathers are the missing link to healing this country and a lot of its ills. The absentee fathers is a problem, and we have to do better with that. So I try to give fathers encouragement and give them some tools and some resources and a lot of conversation to motivate them and to educate them why it's important for them to be back into the household. If it doesn't mean that you and mom are going to reconcile your relationship and you're going to be a loving couple again, it doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy relationship with the kids. And I'm a man that grew up without a father. So I understand the pain that lingers with that. So not only am I talking to them as a dad, I'm talking to them as the kid, because I remember what that felt like. And we're trying to really help dads and coach them to being better. And a lot of these guys just haven't had the chance because their story is like my story. So it's, we continue to pass on the misery. We just pass it down. Hey, I made it. Why can't they? Type of attitude. And we want to change that and give them some resources. And then we'll also deal with kids, help kids get a better education, take them out of their normal environment. For example, tomorrow, which you helped with as well, we're taking 50-ish plus the chaperones. So 50-ish kids and other community leaders to see the movie Harriet tomorrow. And Harriet, obviously, is about Harriet Tubman, a great story about civil rights and slavery and those things. So we're going to go take them to see that movie and then have a lunch with them afterwards to help them digest and understand why they should be fighting so hard for their life, looking at how others sacrifice for them to have that opportunity, and educate people at the same time. And the more you educate the mind and you equip it, the more people start to value things around them. And they're so busy feeding that hunger to know more, they're not worried about, arguing with the neighbor or, having a shootout with somebody that they disagree with or whatever. So keeping that mind occupied and letting these kids know there's more to life than what they normally see. So that could be linking them up with the Boy Scouts, getting them out camping, fishing, just showing them some different things. And always being there myself, letting them know that men in their community actually do care about them and just being there for them, even if they do have a dad, just always being an extra outlet. And we help people deal with any other kind of ailments or issues they have in their life. Sometimes it's, I don't know how to stop fighting. Sometimes it's, hey, I'm a woman beater. How do I get over that? We've had people come to us with addiction problems, and we also with employment. That's another thing we help out with. With employment, we're helping out with employment skills and linking individuals up. One group we work with here in St. Louis is called Connections to Success, and they link people up with different corporate employers around the area. But a lot of these individuals don't know how to write resumes, don't know how to tie ties. So aiming for the truth provides that first step if you want to learn those basic skills or be linked with somebody that can really take the time to help you develop those basic skills. Because if I can get you those basic skills and have a conversation with you about what employers are looking for from the moment you walk in the door, we can get you employed, get you taking care of your family, get your mind equipped better, get you understanding conflict and conflict resolution, and get you to understand why America is so valuable and what people have done or did for you, rather, to afford you the opportunity to live a prosperous life. Then the better off we are, and thus people aren't resorting to violent measures. I know it was a long way of saying everything, but that's what it is.
That is the longest introduction I think I've ever had, and it is the most robust and probably the most complex. Going all the way back, though, in the beginning, I really appreciate that you said you made a distinction between mental health and mental illness. So mental illness, from a professional's perspective, is what you walk in the door with when you seek help, and then mental health is what you leave with after you're cured. It's very, very similar to physical ailments. So it's okay to say that somebody's sick. We just want to make sure that we're holding it in the same context that we allow them to heal. And I appreciate, so the second thing I really appreciate is you said, you're a mental illness survivor, which we should all aim for. If mental illness could not be recovered from, then my profession would cease to exist because nobody would ever get better. And that's just nonsensical. So yes, you can recover. You should be able to push through and lead healthy, happy, productive, balanced, stable lives after your struggles. So I want to dive in because you shared so much there about, it sounds like you're just making Earth better, which is amazing, and you are. And I want to get a little bit more detailed about how you accomplish the things that you do, because one of the conversations you and I had that evening before I flew back home, you were sharing with me some very specific intersectional techniques that you used, where you intersect these people's lives by going to the schools. You gather groups of dads together, and you give your testimony, of course, that basically normalizes their experiences and says, hey, look, I went through it, I'm going through it now, I am a dad, I grew up in a home that was didn't have both parents, and therefore you can too. You're not alone in this struggle, which I think is amazing. Normalizing people's experiences is absolutely the first step to giving them some hope. But then you give some very specific techniques on how to go about doing that. If you wouldn't mind, share some of the stuff that you do with these guys that really brings it home to help them, recover and stand on their own 2 feet and lift their heads, and in hope.
Well, one of the biggest things that I've noticed, and it was just through trial and error, really, but that I noticed, and was one of the sessions where I was at one of the local elementary schools with some fathers. But immediately I realized that step number one, if you want to hold a parent responsible, make the kid stand up in their face and tell them how they feel. Because I can stand there all day long and tell you, I can lay the groundwork, right, and say, hey, man, this is what the kids are going through. And that does create a bond. It does create a relationship of trust, because you're really laying everything out there, and you're not hiding anything. You're not stepping to them like, oh, I'm better than you. You're really relating. However, my biggest weapon is the kid. It's the child. Mm-hmm. Just get the kid in there and let the kid tell them how they feel. And normally in our programs, we always start off on a happy note. So, for a dad to see his kid bouncing around the room, eating a donut, drinking some juice, laughing with their peers, and things like that, and you get 10, 15 minutes of that, and all of a sudden you get into a conversation, and you ask the kid, like, hey, can you tell dad? It's all about accountability. Can you tell dad how it feels not to see him? And then all of a sudden that mood in that room just drops immediately. It's like immediately. And so every parent in the room not only is listening to their kid, they're listening to the anguish that other parents are causing their children. So everybody takes it personal. But it's the one way to actually break into the emotions of a man,